The journey continues, and today we're going to dive into franchising a service-based business, and in this case, a B2B service-based business. We're going to speak with Jason Parker, founder of Performance Painting. We're going to talk about his experiences in franchising his business, and most important, how he sees the journey ahead for Performance Painting. We have a great conversation today, Jason.
Hey, Charles.
We were speaking earlier before this, and everyone out there, guys, we're going to talk about the journey, right? Jason is just at the end stages, just launched Performance Painting. This isn't an overnight mission. This is over 20 years in the making, right? And so what we want to do is dive into Jason's experiences as, number one, his experience as an entrepreneur, what it was like franchising, and then most important, the plan ahead, right? The plan ahead for Performance Painting. It's in the commercial space, so we're in a niche space or a differentiated space in the service category. And for everyone out there, if you're a franchisor, if you're an entrepreneur thinking about franchising, if you're a broker, this conversation is about entrepreneurship, and so I hope you enjoy it. So Jason, I'm looking forward to the conversation today.
Yeah, me too, Charles.
As we work together, it's clear to me you're very methodical, you're very thoughtful about what you've done. But we were talking earlier where you're like, I said, Jason, how'd you get involved in this industry? And you're like, Charles, over 20-something years ago, I was working in a factory cleaning floors or an equivalent of that. And, years later now, 20 years later, I think you're over 40 employees, you're a multi-million-dollar company. You're operating in a very confined space of painting for, commercial painting. So, as you think backwards, what is this journey like, from cleaning floors to running a commercial painting company?
It's been an amazing journey. And one of the journeys that you look at and you realize that if you knew everything that it would take, you may not have started. But if you take one step at a time, you tend to grow through it and get better for every one of the phases of growth that we've been through. But it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun.
So we talk about, in the franchise world, home service-based businesses are very popular, right? And they're popular for a number of reasons, because lower startup cost, income replacement opportunity, and for whatever macro and economic reasons, there was underservice. So you're in a different space. Just talk about what business you're in. What is commercial painting? How would you differentiate it? Or, if we use residential home services versus commercial, what does that dichotomy look like?
Very different. I think, through the phases of our growth, we've done most of it. So there's key differences that I think speak to kind of the type of business that you want to have. But in the commercial space, you may find us any given day in an arena or a stadium or a church or a manufacturing facility, a distribution center. Those types of facilities have different maintenance needs than homes do, whether it's safety striping or maintaining the exterior of the building or preventing corrosion on some pieces of tanks or piping. So these things happen on a recurring basis, and the relationships that build those. In the residential world, it's more reliant on the outward bound marketing and the connection with them. They're both. Marketing is important in both, but having a customer that has multiple painting needs in a year is one of the primary differences. And they look for partnerships in their relationships because they want to be able to call someone and know that piece of their business is taken care of. They're revenue producing spaces for the most part, and how it looks directly correlates to how they earn their money. So we like to partner with them and to make sure that they know that they've got their facility looking great at all times, and safe for that matter.
I'm always fascinated, and we work with so many entrepreneurs and franchisors, and I'm always fascinated by the white space that entrepreneurs find and the opportunities there. And years ago, residential services represented a very big opportunity, but I love when there's businesses and segments, like I would never think about, painting for, to preserve metal, components or metal roofing or metal anything. And so it definitely becomes an opportunity. And then you really dive into B2B, right? In many ways, our law firm the advisory services we provide, we're a B2B organization, right? And our clients are businesses. One of them I appreciate, right? If I'm asking for differentiators between a B2B business and a B2C business, I think your primary point is, hey, it's relationship building. It's multiple sales opportunities. There goes the thumbs up. So B2B, relationship building, multiple sales opportunities by a customer that has ongoing demand. What other differentiators do you see when you're evaluating B2B versus B2C?
Well, I think it's value creation versus aesthetics. I think that's a key differentiator if we're just comparing to a residential focus. And so that makes the partnership look different and scalable on many different ways. Some of the folks that we work with have locations nationwide. And so they look for a partner that they know they can have a predictable outcome with. So understanding how different businesses allocate funding towards these things matters. And because you can help them navigate these maintenance budgets. And by partnering and being able to help them navigate through their budgeting and through their expenditures, you can deepen that partnership and then help them maintain multiple facilities. At one point, we paid in 1,600 gas stations up and down the Southwest and Western seaboard. And what we were able to offer them is consistency, painting 5 locations per day for a period of time to get them rebranded. And that's just different. It's different, when you partner and look for the need and you understand the need and you can fulfill the need and help them get back to generating revenue for their business.
I mean, I'll give myself credit for asking that question because I'm being sarcastic though. That was a great analysis. I mean, I'm internalizing a lot of this. I think it's critical to really differentiate and evaluate your services from that value creation standpoint. And so now, as we peel back and we're evaluating franchisees and you're franchising your business and the opportunity, right? We know what performance painting is, commercial painting business. A franchise buyer is going to be evaluating team members, yourself, an opportunity. But I think it really helps us unlock, as we're evaluating the B2B, the B2C, and your point about value creation, I think from your analysis, that could be a big opportunity, right? You're going from a business where you're responsibly reacting to the customer input, you're providing an estimate, and they just focus on the aesthetics, whereas your evaluation, Charles, we're looking at budgeting, we're looking at needs, and we're looking to add value. So with that being a core component, B2B business, performance painting, how does that influence how you're thinking about franchising? What could make for a good franchisee partner? And how are you going to make them successful?
Well, they're going to have a big part in their success, right? I think the way that we're going to really help is, for many years, we've done thousands of projects. And through those projects, some of them have gone poorly. And when the projects go poorly, we take our biggest lessons from those. And sometimes they're very big projects and they're very painful, but the next one always goes better. And we've done that for over 20 years. And so when I think about me starting in 2001 performance painting, and if I was equipped with the knowledge that I have now, it just fires me up to think about what I could have done. And so what I think about getting a hungry entrepreneur, the vehicle that we've spent years creating through the mistakes and through the challenges, I think the potential is really big for that individual. Obviously, if they have their own motivation and abilities to build relationships. But I think it's through this unique model that we can provide solutions that, maybe there's a little bit of a gap in the market and we can help, whether it's a public facility or a business, take this part of their to-do list away from them and partner long-term with them. We've hired a lot of people in the 20-something years that I've been in business, and people come from different backgrounds and they have different levels of motivation. When I think about the franchising model and having the ability to have a hungry entrepreneur to be able to provide this system to, it's really exciting to me how we can provide value in cities all over the country like we have in Jacksonville.
For me, it's just so compelling when you're evaluating as a business, your product, your service. And if you always start with the value you offer your clients and your customers. But it makes so much sense to me when in terms of performance painting and B2B, it's really about making someone's life easier and ultimately improving or assisting with their efficiency and profitability. I mean, marketing people call things investments, but when they're genuine, a service really is an investment, which gets to you discussed relationship building. What would a day in the life for an ideal franchisee, someone that's a good fit for performance painting? What does this journey look like? And I understand we're just having a general conversation, but what should that journey look like and feel like? And then let's dive even deeper, the opportunity and the challenge. Like, hey, these real challenges.
Well, a day in the life could look like your day could start with a networking opportunity or a breakfast with someone, because as I mentioned, it's a relationship-based opportunity. Now, there'll be inbound opportunities as well, but I think the big opportunities will come from a lot of relationship building. So I think there will be those types of networking events throughout the day. You will have opportunity to visit unique businesses. So you could find yourself in I found myself in bottling plants, large distribution centers. I found myself at NFL stadium, an arena when a concert's being prepared for. Lots of different places that you can find yourself with customers. And it's pretty exciting to be able to develop those relationships and to help them find solutions to the unique challenges they're having. But the challenges, I think, will come from focusing hard enough on those relationships to build consistent revenue day after day. And for those that it comes natural to, it's going to be great. Right? For those that struggle with the relationship part, it might not be as fun, or maybe they're going to have to find someone that helps them build those relationships. But that could present a challenge if someone is more of a kind of be in the office and don't bother me type of individual.
In terms of white space and opportunity, Jason, and I don't know the industry, but I'm guessing here because I this to me is attractive. When you approach or have conversations with business owners, performance painting, is there an advantage that, or at least the business owner, the property owner is like, hey, performance painting specializes in this service versus just looking through different service providers that may do a bunch of things?
There are niche services within what we do, whether it be epoxy coatings, multiple component type coatings where you're mixing products to put on to metals to preserve them, how you prepare surfaces to make sure that the coating lasts. So that includes everything from grinding or perhaps blasting to other processes. But I think the key differentiator or the key niche is really how safe are they and how do they protect the people that are working around them in these facilities? Do they have the expertise and the checklists and the processes to follow so things don't get missed in terms of safety and traffic flow and protecting adjacent surfaces, things like this? I think those qualifications are more of the specialty than even just a specific service. It's how do they operate around my business?
And Jason, so for a new franchisee that opens up, what would be a natural progression that you would see in terms of, if I said, hey, what do I need to start in terms of team members? What does it look like over the next 1 to 2 years as we're ramping up business?
We would recommend starting with the individual franchise owner, or if they're going to have a regional manager model, then they would have a director position coupled with a field supervisor position or field manager position. Those two roles would be the beginning of the organization. You would have an option also of hiring your first crew or using our subcontractor model. If you choose to hire your first crew, then the first crew would be a crew leader along with a painter and an apprentice. But through our subcontracting model, we recommend that in the beginning until revenue is flowing well. And if you so choose to add your employees after that, that would be what we would recommend. As the business scales, you would add salespeople and field managers at the rate that it would demand in the market. And so the way that we would recommend that is a salesperson and a field manager for every territory for the beginning.
And then on the sales level, it's inbound, digital, and also just knocking on doors, networking events, building relationships. I'd imagine you could easily identify potential customers just based on property.
You can. And unlike residential, you can reach out more openly. That's really beneficial to build those relationships. Also events, scheduling events, educational opportunities. We do things that we help our customers stay educated in the maintenance space. That's been a great opportunity there. There's many ways that we do outreach as well as inbound, and obviously the normal digital marketing that would be done in any business.
So when we started the journey, when I think one of our first conversations when you're evaluating franchising, now you're successful entrepreneur, you have a large organization you've built. What was the catalyst at this stage? I mean, you guys have been very successful, where you decided, hey, this is the right moment for us to franchise.
As I mentioned, through our many phases of growth, we've done different types of painting. And that experience has kind of evolved into what we do today. And that is, we don't do new construction, and we help maintain existing facilities in the commercial space. We've done everything from Mrs. Smith's bathroom in the past to apartment painting and everything in between, including large industrial new construction projects where we're putting tank linings onto water treatment facilities. So with that experience, we've evaluated every approach, and we've examined it on many levels, both how you grow it, but also what's the profitability and how does it function. And so we've landed in this area of somewhat disciplined approach to commercial repainting because we feel like it provides the most value for the type of model that we've created and the type of business that, frankly, I want to be involved in, and I think our team wants to be involved in. And that's a mutually beneficial peer-to-peer relationship with our customers where we know each other, we know we're providing value to each other on a regular basis. It's not as transactional as some other businesses, and I really enjoy that part about it, and I think others will too. And I just can't help but get really excited about linking hungry entrepreneurs with a model that I'm just super excited about how it can grow in other markets. It's going to provide a great opportunity for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, these are all lessons, right? I think about all the time. I'm like, if I could go back in time and tell myself this lesson, which is like hyper concentrate, build incredible value. And you're right, like we're a B2B business. The relationships are amazing. I every day, no matter the conversation, it's shockingly rare to ever have a negative conversation. It's just a positive experience. Doesn't mean there isn't a ton of hard work and everything else. But I do think when we're talking about service businesses and them being so popular, I love the component of focusing on B2B. And Mrs. Smith may have been a very nice woman, but you're not going to build the business you're proud of by combining maybe a bunch of things that we shouldn't be combining. And if you combine that, giving great service to a residential customer may take you off track on a commercial customer experience, and they don't become compatible. Well, yeah, years ago, Jason, we had a difficult conversation where, as an organization, we used to do litigation. Now we have a firm that handles hopefully very little litigation, but for our clients. And there was a point in time where we sat down in our strategic planning meeting and decided that to better serve our clients and get to where we want, we were going to stop doing all litigation and all non-franchise business work. So lifelong friends that had $50 million companies going through a merger, I would have to tell them we can't help. And it was half our revenue at the time.
So scary, right?
Yeah.
I mean, those jumping off points, they're scary at the time.
Well,
but man, it pays off.
Well, when we're making the decision, I'm like, okay, let's do it. I didn't believe we were doing it. But then you're having a great team and we did it. And we just let it roll. And it is a jumping off point and it is amazing. And that's why I could really connect when you look at what's the differentiator if, Jason and performance painting go back to 2001 and then the experiences of another entrepreneur and competitor that didn't make these decisions along the way. And maybe they have an okay business, but it hasn't hit that special moment that you guys have. And those sort of economies of scale when one gas station now turns into potentially a chain of gas stations or businesses. I mean, I'm a big fan of franchising. We have a ton of amazing clients in residential and commercial and service businesses. And it's always about the founders and the team, right? We have a mutual friend, a great guy or friends, great guys who've built an amazing franchise system in the residential category, right? And what I find those common elements, sure, you need a good business and good performance. It's always the founder. It's the people, it's the leaders. It's individuals like you, like our friends that I'm thinking about. They're really thinking about how to make things better, improve systems, and build great businesses.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think without a deeper meaning or purpose, it's really hard to do those jumping off point things, right? Those things that we don't know how they're going to turn out and take big risks. And they got to be calculated, right? And you got to have a team, as you mentioned. It sounds like you're similar in that my team helps me stay disciplined and focused on, what I said I wanted to do, right? And that part is really important too. The team is so huge, and we have such a fantastic team here. So I'll tell a quick story about where the purpose comes from for me. When I was early in the business and I was driving a little Volkswagen Golf and I had paint in the back and probably paint on me, I was going through a drive-through and I had a helper with me this day. And the Burger King drive-through lady peeked her head out the window and looked at both of us and then looked at me and said, "Hey, you boys are painters. Y'all can drink some beer, can't you?" And I thought about it as I drove away, and I'm like, wow, she never met me, and she thought that I could drink beer. I was early 20s. She was probably right. But later in business, I look back on that, and I'm like, that drove me to want to raise the level of professionalism in the painting industry because of this idea that someone had that I'd never met before. And so, those little things that you remember, when I was working in a factory and there was no positions to move up in, it made me want to grow an organization and keep it growing so that people inside the organization could have a vehicle that would allow them to reach their personal goals inside that vehicle rather than have to leave, and go outside of the company to meet their goals. It's those small things that I think you take with you that give you the courage to do the next thing.
I mean, one of the reasons I love these podcasts is I personally get benefit from them in ways I've never imagined, right? And so as you're speaking, I'm actually reflecting and thinking back, what were those moments, and, why is there whatever business you create and my organization or how I perceive it, like what are those little factors along the way, that innocuous moments like the ones you just mentioned that seem trivial, but like stick with you. It's so interesting. It's funny. I don't know. I think I have an insecurity goes way back to childhood. I'm trying to prove something to myself, which I have no idea, but which gets to like when you're driving in the morning and you're like, it's funny. One of my favorite things is to get stuck. There's a train crossing by our office. I love when the train comes and everything, I get stuck. I think about things. I just love watching train pass. But sometimes I catch myself thinking, saying, why are you so what's motivating you right now? Because I'm excited to go to work. And I think it connects with a bunch of things. I don't think business is just about business and money is about making money. It's just not. It's about discovering something and doing good things. What motivates you when, you've achieved a really good organization, you guys have grown? Like, what motivates you right now?
I think the thing that motivates me is the new environment that we're creating to see the people around me achieve what maybe they didn't think they could in the beginning. I think that's really the biggest thing. A continuing changing environment that brings challenges, but also puts people that you care about in situations that give them more confidence. They in turn more happiness, and that's really what it comes down to, the happiness piece, right? I think people don't often know, and I don't always know, what I need to be happy, but I think it certainly involves stretching yourself, doing something new, being adventurous, and kind of expanding kind of who we are each day as best we can. So that creating that environment and helping contribute towards that is really what fires me up. And, to think that we can have the ability to do that and across the country, it's really exciting to me.
Yeah, that hits home. I get scared when I think of that through the lens of legacy and things like that, because I'm like, am I that old? But no, I look, it's good to see others succeed. It's fun to watch. Like sometimes I leave our office and there's like young team members, like ages of my children, in their 20s and whatnot. And I walk out the door, I'm like blown away what they're doing, how hard, like it just blows me away. So it is good to see. I'm on board with that, Jason. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there thinking about franchising. They're evaluating. It's a big decision. They want to get it right. And you're at the early stages of your journey, but any advice to share for them?
I think connecting with a brand or a company that you share the values and kind of the same beliefs is, I think, one of the biggest decisions and the most important approach to a decision that you can have. Decisions that have been made just by friends or colleagues that have gotten involved in businesses where maybe the leadership didn't align with them. And I've just seen them so unhappy. So I think that the opportunity is really important. The economics of the opportunity have to work. Once those boxes are checked, do you connect with the founder? Do you connect with the culture? And is it a group of people you can see yourself communicating with regularly and like it? I can't give any I think more strong advice related to making a choice of kind of who you connect with.
Yeah, I look, it always comes down to the team and the jockey and who you align with, and those values, if they're genuine, they're going to pour through into the business and the organization and the goals. Jason, I'm looking forward to all the good things ahead and all the fun we've been having. Yeah, I appreciate the time today.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate being on, and it's always good to have a conversation with you.